How y'all doing? Today is, what is today? Today is Wednesday. Happy Solstice. Today is the first day of summer, and today is the beginning of Cancer season. Woo! And let me tell y'all, there is fire in the air. We have just moved into Cancer season, and I can feel this incredible intensity, this incredible energy coming through. And if I wasn't clear about what energy is and what's going on in the astrology, I would be in such insanity and making up stories right now. And so because I can feel this, I went to go check. I was like, what's going on in the world? Let me go see. And it's a really interesting thing what we have done in our culture. The way that we have really historically deified celebrities. So one of the things that I ran into online that I didn't know about was something going on with the head of Def Jam. What's it like, Russell Simmons, right? And what's going on between he and his family, within his family. And what I want to say is that we've created celebrity in this culture like people didn't have challenging things happening. We've made money this sort of deifier that makes people into gods because they can be seen by everybody. And then those realities are so sculpted by the cameras. People are not really being who they really are because the cameras are there. So then we assume, that that's who they are and that they have these problems and everybody else doesn't, they don't have problems and everybody else does have problems. So we've created this idea that people who are celebrity and who have money and who have things are somehow, doing better. But the reality is that they are not. They are not doing better than everyday folks. And we've sort of made their lives be the standard, this sort of pursuit of money. And, the music has sort of glorified this sort of lifestyle. And what I want to say, I live in Los Angeles, and I've always known none of it is real. None of it is real. And I even living next to it, having friends who are celebrities, there was a part of me that wanted to believe that it was real. And the closer I got to people, I'm like, this shit is an illusion. It is not real. And relationship, absolutely. So the thing is that as the South Node has been moving through Scorpio is the hidden. And the South Node is at the final 2 degrees of Scorpio. And literally, it is peeling back everything, all the illusions, all the shadows. And here's the thing, if you pay attention, you can feel it in your own life. That's been the thing that's been helping me. I can feel, like the other day, I was moving through and could feel myself being jealous. I could feel jealousy come through me. And because I understand and work with these energies, jealousy comes through me and I'm like, okay, what is it that wants to express through me that I'm not already expressing? Where am I suppressing myself in a way that I need to be more? Rather than being like, oh, that person is this, or rather than denying it. It's like we have to really learn to work with these energies because our old reality is coming undone. So that's why relationships aren't working anymore in the way they used to. It's hard to work for other people because our reality is not stabilized in the way that it was. So you're going to have to learn how to stabilize yourself in a new way. And so it's important that we, as I was listening to the tape with Russell Simmons, I was thinking, this is just human shit. This is normal. This is not an unusual thing for what's happening right now in our country. we have all lived in this illusion of separation, and rich is better than poor, and white is better than black, and the educated again. Like we've lived in such a polarized experience here. It makes sense now that those realities have to come undone. As I said, the South Node is moving through Scorpio. It's literally revealing the truth of it all. There is no motherfucking whiz. Nobody else is better than anybody. Nobody is better than anybody else. And now the South Node is about to go into Libra, and literally Scorpio is how we share power with another. Scorpio is how we share power. It's sex, it's money, it's family inheritances, right? So literally, and when I say this stuff is not just about money, this stuff is in Scorpio, it's the shadow. It's families where there's been rape and molestation, and all that stuff is coming up. And because we have so disassociated ourselves from the core of these things of being human, because we have made this good and that bad and this is good, because we do that, we are not able to fully open up to the fullness of our human experience and really integrate the shadow and the dark, so to say. And because we're not doing that, now we have all these people falling out, and because we've not dealt with our own stuff. We've not dealt with our own stuff, and we're not able to take responsibility for our own creations. We're not able, because we have not matured ourselves. One of the things that I've seen in my own work in really maturing myself is when I was a Christian, there was this thing like you give everything to Jesus. It was like, give it to Jesus. And when I started really doing my own self-healing, I was like, oh wow, people are going to be really fucked up, because you really can't just give anything to Jesus. Not like the way we were taught. That's not how it works. You know, whatever is going on in your family, whatever's going on in your community, whatever's going on in the world, we're all responsible for it. We're all creating it. You can't just say that's them over there. It doesn't work that way on any level. It does not work that way. And when I was starting to really heal what it meant to be a black person, and there were a couple of things that really tripped me out. I was like, oh, like we think black people have it bad. And yes, possibly, yes, we do. But the people who do what they do to black people have it worse because they are psychotic. They are psychotic. They are insane. They've lost compassion and empathy. So I'm like, oh, white people are even worse off than black people. Okay. So where is the worst of myself? How can I meet the darkest parts of me so that I'm not running from it and making it seem like it's them over there? Because of the way we have polarized our nation, men and women, good and bad, and all that sort of stuff. Most people are very divided from themselves. Most people can't access the fullness of who they are. So we continue to spin in patterns and traumas because we're not capable of seeing ourselves yet. And so we're blaming everyone else. We are blaming everyone else. Everyone is pointing the finger at somebody else. And I'm telling y'all, that's not how it works. It's not how it works. Which is why back in 2016, when I voted for Trump, I was doing it because I needed to see the part of myself that was making my life be about white people and what happened. I had to face that part of myself. I had to go into it. And when I went into it, when I actually walked myself into it, I got to see, oh, this is all me. This is all made up shit. Not to say that our country isn't systemic in racism and all that, but I started to realize that I was giving my power away. There were ways that I was absolutely giving my power away through the stories, through the beliefs, through propagating the narratives that really wasn't true. It really wasn't true. And when I started to realize that that wasn't true, I started to see that there's a whole nother reality that's available to me and every human being that doesn't include this dual nature that we propagate and participate in our culture, that really does allow for a different way of being in the world. But you cannot to live in this world of wholeness, you cannot hold those old narratives. They keep us stuck. So that's why we are beginning to see people are losing their minds, the suicide rates higher than they've ever been, relationships coming undone, people, having mental breaks, depression at high levels, all of that because people are just disconnected from the fullness of who they are. And I know what I'm saying might be flying over so many people's heads, possibly, but because people are disconnected from themselves, they cannot access what they need to be something for everyone else. And because our country and the systems that we have are so based in separation and capitalism and things that don't matter, we haven't built the emotional foundations that would allow us to really support ourselves, that would allow us to really do the work to heal. We haven't burned off the trauma in a way that would allow us to actually meet ourselves in places that are foundational so that we can heal, so that we can move into another way of being. And we can't do this in a big collective way, but we can do this in small ways, in our families, in ourselves, and in our communities, until we get a groundswell and more people can come together in community in the acknowledgement of oneness. Like, the solution is oneness. The solution really is, I'm telling y'all, I get so sad, because I feel like the time that I was most motivated and alive and like what was possible for our country was when Barack Obama was running. And I was so disappointed when I realized he's just another slick nigga. He's just like all the rest of them. Nothing is going to be different. But the narratives were, I am my brother's keeper and things like that. Those narratives are actually powerful because we do need to really come into a deeper experience of our collective truth, our collective authenticity, our collective experience in all of its diversity, with responsibility though and accountability. We can't come to it blaming and finger pointing and making people wrong, because we're all in this together. And as Black people, I know as a Black person, there's a part of me that feels very wronged by the system and white people, and I can't step over that, but I can take responsibility for it. But I cannot step over it. So nobody is being asked to step over the things that you have experienced and how you feel about it. But it's your responsibility to heal it. It's not somebody else's responsibility. You have to do it. And many of us are waiting on somebody else, somebody to apologize, somebody to make it right. So I know, not having parents as a child in the way that I grew up, not having available parents for many, many, many years, I felt deeply entitled, deeply owed. I felt like somebody owes me something because I had been neglected, deeply neglected. And what I realized was that nobody was going to do it. I was going to have to give it to myself. Nobody can do it. Nobody is coming to do it. Everybody's got their own thing to take care of. And so it's really important that we begin to take responsibility for ourselves. I mean, real responsibility, the deep, deep, deep work. Responsibility for why you think the way you think, why you feel the way you feel, what's going on in your bank, what's going on in your love life, responsibility. You don't call nobody else's name but your fucking own name. Call your name only. And ask yourself the questions. What are you willing to do to change? Because that's the only way. It's the only way. And I want you all to know it's about to get really ugly out here, you all. Like it's about to get really intense. Like we're just at the beginning of it. We're just at the beginning of it. So today is the summer solstice. My prayer is really that people who are awake right now, people who are experiencing the joy and the goodness of life right now, that we would do our best to expand it and envelop others in it and support others in their process towards it. That we would be willing to allow our joy to overflow. Like, don't hide it because other people are going through stuff, right? Like, really be true to yourself and be true when you don't feel good and be true when you feel great, so that people can see what's possible. Like, we have to let our light shine. I mean, it sounds so fucking redundant. It does. It sounds like, really, Monique? But that's what it has to be. It has to be that we really let who we are be seen, at least by yourself. See yourself. See yourself as clearly as you can. Hey, Ray. See yourself, and tend to yourself and meet your needs and heal yourself, really heal yourself. And don't make anybody else responsible for it, because nobody else is. So, you guys, you can go to my website and you can book readings and coaching. I've been doing a lot of coaching right now, and my calendar, I kind of closed it this week because I was so busy in the last few weeks. But it's, a lot of people are facing a lot of shame, a lot of shadow stuff. A lot of stuff is coming up right now. And if you need support, get it. Get support. Don't try and do it alone. Get support. Get support. Thank you. I love you too, Sleevy. And hey, Epiphany of Divinity. Yeah, get support. Do not try to walk this alone. This is not a time for, if you're going through a lot of suffering, this is not a time to isolate. This is a time to ask for help. I've been asking for help a lot. And I've been being very patient. Like this morning, I got everything all wrong. I thought I was supposed to pick my son up to get him to camp at 9 o'clock. He's supposed to get there until 10 o'clock. So that was off. And then he wasn't feeling good. And it's just stuff, right? And I literally was just breathing through it, asking my ancestors for help. I got up, I did my morning rituals, did my practices. And after that, I literally am like, okay, I've done the best that I can. And if anything was missed, I trust that there's grace enough that it will work out. And it did. But that's right, be gentle with yourself. All right, you all, peace and blessings. You can come get readings. You can join one of my communities, the full moon community, the new moon community with the daily videos, the first quarter moon community. All of that. I'm there doing the rituals and the practices every day. Every day we're there so that we can move the energy, so that we can shift from being externally based to being internally anchored. We're shifting from being externally focused to be internally anchored. And that's the work. The work is really anchoring inside of yourself. And how do I do that? I do that by doing the astrology, because we are all connected through the astrology. Everybody, today is a Mercury day. Mercury is in Gemini right now. And the thing that's so significant about Mercury and Gemini is it means that we're creating a new code. The daily videos are in all of the communities. So you could do the new moon community for the daily video, first quarter, or the full moon. But if you want to do the ritual practices, you have to either do the first quarter or the full moon, because I don't offer rituals in the new moon group. I was saying something. God, what was I saying? Oh, the Mercury energy. Mercury in Gemini. Mercury is home in Gemini. And Gemini governs our perception. And what is perception? It's everything. It's everything. Perception is everything. Perception is the story you're telling about your reality, right? And so that's why they say two people can see the same thing and they're going to perceive it differently based upon their nurturing, their lifestyle, their health, all of that, right? So I could look at myself and think, oh, I'm horrible looking, and somebody else can look at me and think I'm beautiful. Perception wins, right? But the perception is creative. So whatever story you're telling becomes your experience. And literally, when I hear people say we live in a hologram, now I get it. Now I understand what is meant when people say that, and we do. And we are truly programming reality constantly through our thoughts and feelings and internal dialogue and our sensory body. And so the things you're telling yourself, I don't feel good, all that, when I have broken down, when I have opened up my consciousness and gotten quiet enough to watch myself, I'm like, oh, I see why your world is the way it is, because my inner consciousness was cluttered, fucked up with all sorts of nonsense that I carried for many lifetimes, that I inherited from my mother and her mother and her mother. Stuff around sex and stuff around religion and stuff around the world and being a woman and how unsafe it is and all of that. And because we all believe it, we all create it, we all align in it. And while Mercury is in Gemini, it's the opportunity to recode this, to tell a new story, and you have to plant a new seed. You have to plant a new seed in your mind. You have to do the work to transform your mind. It does not happen without you doing nothing. And I'm like, when I tell you, it's the most work I've ever done in my life, because I've been able to see my mind and see what thoughts I'm thinking, and then stuff shows up in my life, and because I know I create my reality, and I understand how reality is created, when things show up in my life, I'm like, where did I create this from? Because maybe things are showing up where I'm feeling rejected. Maybe things are showing up where my money is really tight. Maybe things are showing up where I'm having a health challenge, right? But it's like, because I understand this is a mental reality and everything is actually coming out of my own consciousness, I created all this shit. So then I got to go inside again and say, okay, what's showing up here? How do I recode this? And you have to do the work to recode it, the rituals, the practices to recode it. Now, let me tell you, I've been doing it, so it sounds like a lot of work. But when you get into it, the universe conspires with you on it. So it really is, it becomes just like brushing your teeth and bathing every day and eating, but there's a consciousness that comes in because you become aware of how creative you are. So it's just a real thing. And while Mercury is in Gemini, we have the opportunity to recode our reality. And this is how the ancients did it. This is how it works. But we live in a world that has us so distracted. The music is coding us. The foods are coding us. Our relationships, the TV stuff we watch, everything is coding us towards external stuff, materialism. Everything is coding us to be reliant upon things outside of ourselves for our internal well-being. And that never works. That's never true. It's not possible at all. So we have to get off of the Ferris fucking wheel. You got to get off of it and begin to question why you think the way you think, how you feel. I mean, I have, everything is, as a woman, for instance, we are coded to believe that we can't have children beyond 50 or so years old. That's a code. That's not real. That's something that everybody has bought into, and we all have locked in energetically. So generally, around when women are 50, your period will stop. Generally, because we are all in an unconscious agreement about it. But if we all changed our minds about it and actually started doing new practices and behaving in different ways that actually shifted, we would be different. We would be conceiving it. We would have another experience of our reproductive system, is what I'm trying to say. But they tell us, they tell us who we are. They tell us what it's supposed to be. So that is what it is. It's a code. And all we have to do is begin to tell ourselves something different, and we will have another code. Universe clearly wanted me to hear this. Yes to this message. That is so funny. Damn. Love how my 41-year-old self just came to hear this. Yes. So it's time for us to really learn how to be human in a way that is in alignment with our own nature. And we need to get out of step with this world that was built to sort of keep us all prisoners. That's really what it is. We're just all prisoners, and now the world is changing. And so we actually can, my spiritual teacher would always say, what do I want to be right about? Yes, we just have a different opportunity now. And so my prayer is that people would begin, my prayer is that y'all would come to follow the sun. That's what I want. I want y'all to come to follow the sun so that we can all be together doing the work. Because the more of us do it together, the more of us expand, the more of us change, go into our communities, and the more of us that infect the world in a new way. That's one of my prayers, is that you come to follow the sun and learn how to live your life through following energy. And another of my prayers is that women would begin to really wake up to our true power and who we really are, because we are the key to this, because we have dominion over the subconscious realm. We have dominion over the subconscious realm, the way men have dominion over the physical realm. And because women are not monitoring our own subconscious in the way that only we can, and we're allowing the external conditioning systems to monitor it, we are not using the subconscious power. It is being used through us. It is being vampired from us. And if we would just begin to learn how to monitor our own subconscious, the world will change overnight. Overnight, it will change. Because the feminine has this ability to create reality, because everything comes from the feminine. How do you know that? Because every human being here comes out of a woman's womb. So the women have access to the invisible and the seen. And men have access to the seen. Not that they can't access the divine. Yes, they can. But really, in order for them to access it, they have to come into our bodies. That's what they have penises for, so they can plug into the feminine and access the heavenly realm. That's really what that is. If you study life, everything in life is about sex and two different parts coming together, and two different parts coming together to make a third. And it doesn't have to just be a baby. It's ideas. It's masculine and feminine, all in every way. It's bees making honey. It's all of it, right? Bees and flowers then making honey is the third part. So there is this opportunity for us as women to really wake up to our own subconscious power and how it works, and how it works through us, because it works uniquely through everyone. And so my subconscious energy, I have a Pisces rising, which means that my subconscious is my identity. What does that mean? It means that I'm living in my dream reality. I'm living in it, because Pisces is my ascendant. So this reality is my dream reality. Now, all that sounds really weird, but when I understand that we live in a hologram, when I understand the languages of the planets, that makes sense to me. I'm in my dream reality. Okay. So that means that everything happening in my life is coming out of my subconscious. So now when stuff happens, I'm not like, oh, that shouldn't have happened. I'm like, oh, that came out of my subconscious, because it has to be me. It's my energetic. Everything here is my energetic. So it wouldn't be in my reality if it wasn't coming through me. Now, we're not taught to believe that we are that impactful, that we have that much power. But the reason we're not taught to believe that is because if we knew we had that much power, we wouldn't give it away. So now that I know, I'm better and better at not giving it away. I'm not blaming anybody else for things that happen in my life. I get that it's me. It's all me. So now, as women, when we understand that every man in your life comes from you in some way, he's answering a question in your own world. Like, I was talking to this woman the other day at the spa, and she was saying how she was just healed from cancer. And I was digging, right? And I said to her, like, tell me about that. And I dug and asked enough questions, and she was like, oh yeah. I said, did you ever have any thoughts about getting cancer? And she said, yes. I used to always tell my sisters, one of us has to get cancer, and it's gonna be me. One of us had. I said, yes. I said, you spoke it into, you created it. She said, yes, I absolutely created it. Like, everything that's happening in our lives is happening because we create it. Literally, all of it is through our own creation. We watch hip-hop artists kill themselves by saying, I'm gonna die, and we watch them die. It's not sad. It's creation. It's not sad. It's how the reality works. You're creating it, right? And the more you become conscious of that, because most of us are creating from our ancestral pull. We're not conscious. We're just holding the subconscious of our great-grandmother and her mother and her mother and her mother and her mother, that then it lands here. So you're just recreating your old self again now. That's why we have to learn how to mine the subconscious, clear it out, because that's where women exist. In the subconscious. That's why we can sit around and daydream. And, but I spent most of my life daydreaming about sex. Really, I did. And had the most challenging time sexually. But I was holding on to something in my body that was my great-great-grandmother's, who was raped. And literally, it was almost like I had inherited a subconscious demon, basically, that had me trapped in a sexual pattern that comes through my lineage. And when I started to do the work on it and heal my womb and change, literally, it has changed my life, because all I used to could ever think about was sex and men and love and all. Everything in my life was about a man, but that's what I was conditioned to through my system, right? So as I've healed that, now my genius is flourishing. I can think about I can use my mind how I want to. I can heal people. I can do all manner of things because I have cleaned out my subconscious. I have cleaned up my subconscious. I have shifted the energy in my body and in my womb. And yes, I'm still working with stuff because I'm here on earth and I'm with everybody else. But I am not in the throes of what I was or what most people are, because I understand how this works. And it is my pleasure to teach it to you, y'all, because it makes your life so much easier. My life is so different, and I'm just grateful. Anyway, so my prayer is for women. My prayer is for women to begin to understand how to navigate the subconscious reality, how to navigate who we really are, how to use our power in the way that it's meant to be used. And in doing so, beginning to not just change your life, but to change the lives of your families, because our family system really is born through the women in our lives, through the women who we are anchored with. Because it's literally their dreams. Like every child in your family is an answer to somebody's dream or somebody's desire, right? Every child is that. And so because we don't know how we function, we are fucking it up. We really are. And it's just time to wake up. It's time. All right, you all. I love y'all. Have a really wonderful day. Peace and blessings. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.